Hello and welcome back to Crypto Saving Experts, where we talk about the latest cryptocurrency news and take a look at the markets so that we all know exactly what is happening. My name is Jess and we do these live streams every single weekday. So if you are new here, please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. We are a little bit later today. I'm trying out different times in the day to see which one you guys prefer. So let me know in the chat today if this time better suits you or you like it earlier in the morning. You can see clearly. My lights are still not working behind me, so the setup's not as good as it usually is, but hopefully we'll get that back working again. We are seeing Bitcoin down as well, so it's a bit doom and gloom in every aspect here today. $26,000 for Bitcoin, down 0.66% within the last 24 hours and 11.35% within the last week. So it's not been great. We've seen a whole lot of liquidations. We will be discussing why in today's stream. We'll be going into detail about that. Please also take a look at this. We've got Ethereum down at 9.4% in the last week, down 0.33% in the last 24 hours. Now, granted, we haven't really seen too much of a movement over the weekend. It has gone back to being a bit sideways again, but is this downwards movement going to continue, or is this the bottom? We're going to be discussing that today. We're going to be talking about why Bitcoin's dropped, what else is going on in the markets, and we'll be analysing the price of Bitcoin as well. So let's get straight into this. As I said, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button. Last week, we did see $1.05 billion of positions liquidated, and I believe this was just on Thursday, so that was a huge amount of liquidations. And if you take a look at this tweet here, you can see the amount of liquidations that we saw daily for just Bitcoin was higher than the amount of liquidations when FTX collapsed in November last year. So that shows the extent to this. You can see we've had a massive downfall within the last week. A lot of people are very fearful in this space right now. And the whole sentiment of crypto has completely changed. Now, why has it changed? We need to talk about Evergrande. Now, Evergrande is a Chinese property developer. Let's run through this article. The team at Crypto Saving Expert have done this very in-depth article, and it explains it all very simply for you guys, and then I'll be giving my own opinions in there as well. So first of all, we have, obviously, this is a Chinese property company, property developer, and they failed to break away from their financial struggles. So their struggles actually began in 2021. Now, we'll pull this article up and we'll run through this article and then we'll go back to Crypto Saving Experts. So what's actually happened here to begin with? So, the Evergrande's US bankruptcy says they've filed for Chapter 15 bankruptcy in the US right now, in New York State right now. But how did this start? Where's Evergrande come from? What's it mean? Let's start from the beginning. They've been a property developer for a while. Obviously, they're one of the biggest in the world. And we are saying that the story of Evergrande's downfall began in 2021 when the central government moved to curb excessive borrowing to try to slow the rise in home prices, effectively cutting off a major source of funding for property developers. So Evergrande Group, which had $300 billion in liabilities, couldn't shore up cash fast enough to make its debt payments. So it defaulted actually in December 2021, triggering a market panic, and a wave of defaults followed, and China's vast real estate market has yet to recover. So we saw at this time a huge amount of projects actually being abandoned halfway through. So we had buildings that were being put together to create more housing, and then they just stopped them halfway through and left them deserted, and loads of people that had invested into these properties prior to them actually being built got left with debt and no new home. So this is what this is referring to, with leaving many pre-sale buyers left with no home. And then what we are seeing since then is what next, as it tries to restructure billions of dollars in offshore debts, has massive implications for China's financial system. So Evergrande filed on Thursday for Chapter 15 bankruptcy, which is a way for foreign companies to use US bankruptcy law to restructure debt. The process will take time, as Evergrande has roughly $19 billion in offshore debts. So what we've seen here is this did almost happen in 2021, but they managed to save themselves and continue pushing forwards. And now we've seen they filed for Chapter 15 bankruptcy. Is this the end of the road for Evergrande? And what does this mean for the rest of the economy? Well, let's take a look at this. So now investors around the world are watching nervously as Country Garden, which employs more than 300,000 people, missed 2 payments. We are seeing, obviously, it's hard to overstate the importance of the property market in China. The industry accounts for as much as 30% of the country's economic activity, and more than 2/3 of household wealth is tied up in real estate. So they've seen 3 years of zero COVID restrictions. Their COVID restrictions were very, very tight over in China. And what we've seen here is the restrictions sapped China's economic growth, and consumers have been reluctant to buy new homes in the face of higher unemployment and falling property values. Now, we did see a huge amount of news about mortgage boycotts in China over the period of time in which we've seen these zero COVID policies. And we're looking at this and we're saying, what's next? What problems is this going to bring? Now, Evergrande obviously has a huge amount of debt, and with that money belongs to somebody. If they fail to be able to continue to push forward with this, we're going to see a huge amount of problems, not just in China, not just in the property market, but globally. So we go into a bit more detail about this in this article here. So let's go through this one by CryptoSavingExpert.com. So we can see here, the company initially went through financial struggles in 2021, as we have just discussed, and now we are seeing that they have filed for Chapter 15 bankruptcy. So from the outside looking in, the Chinese economy looks to be one disaster away from the dominoes beginning to fall. A collapse in the property sector could have disastrous effects on the economy. Now you can see here, this is the chart of China's HY Real Estate Index, and you can see there, since May 2021, we've seen an 82% decline. Now, the accountant stated Evergrande, one of China's real estate giants, just filed for Chapter 15 bankruptcy. Meanwhile, China's HY Real Estate Index is down a massive 82% in just over 2 years. Is China on the brink of a credit event? So now, obviously, the chart does not lie. What does this mean? Now, we have seen China's central bank cut interest rates. They're reducing interest rates to try and get people to spend more money. So what we're seeing here is the looming potential of a credit crisis. Anti-inflation has sparked the central bank into action. So they want people to be spending money. Chinese rate cuts mean it is cheaper for people to borrow money in the economy, thus stimulating growth. This was seen during the start of COVID pandemic, when interest rates were slammed to 0% in many countries, and quantitative easing, the printing of money, was ramped up. Now, we have seen somewhere on Twitter this morning that China have actually already started quantitative easing, trying to stimulate the economy to try and get it to grow, but we are seeing problems arising here. If you want more information on the 2008 crisis and the similarities it has to what's happening right now, I will drop the link to this in today's chat, but just be very prepared for what's happening right now. There's a lot of uncertainty going on, and there are 2 major scenarios here. The first of all being Evergrande fails and we see a massive amount of fear shake the stock market and potentially the cryptocurrency market, many other markets, or we could see this basically get pushed back. Now, obviously, Evergrande are in a very tricky situation right now. They may be bailed out, they may be helped out in some way, but is that just pushing the death date back by a couple of months? Are we still going to face this problem again in 6 months' time? Just like we saw it in December 2021, and we're now seeing the problems arise again. Is helping them out just causing more and more problems in the long term? And that's what the question is right now. And there's also the story that we are seeing here, that we are seeing this fear spread inside the markets, but is the cryptocurrency market going to get some good news about Bitcoin ETFs, which could trigger a nice move to the upside despite this change? Now, I mean, I like to feel positive and I like to go against the general sentiment, but right now with this Evergrande news, I am being very, very cautious with my own portfolio. It seems like a very uncertain time. Nobody can predict what's going to happen here, so I'm erring on the side of caution until we get some sort of answer about this Evergrande and about what's happening with the ETFs. Bitcoin is on the brink of something, and there's 2 ways it can go, and it can go very, very fast. That's what I think anyway. But let's see what else is going on here in the cryptocurrency news today. So we are seeing, let's pull this down so that we are all on the right point here. Let's change this across. Here we go. We are onto the cryptocurrency news now. So we are seeing the market crash that when Bitcoin dropped to $25,000, the BNB hacker for $53 million was liquidated as well. So it's not all bad here. A wallet linked to the notorious BNB chain hacker had their positions liquidated after BNB dropped below $220 when the price of Bitcoin crashed earlier last week. I'll be dropping the link to this in today's chat if you want to take take a look at that, then you are very much welcome to do so. Let's see what else is going on here in the crypto news this morning. So we have here, let's move on to the next one. XRP could retest 30 cents on the SEC on the SEC's appeal and a weak Bitcoin. So what we're saying now is obviously Bitcoin isn't looking too healthy. The entire cryptocurrency market isn't looking too healthy. Now the SEC are hinting that they are going to be appealing the court decision that XRP is not a security in 3 of the 4 instances that were tested in court. And if that is the case, how far is XRP going to drop? Well, this analyst here at Crypto Saving Expert is suggesting we could go all the way down to 30 cents. Now let's take a look at this article and see what's been happening to Ripple and XRP. So first of all, Ripple Labs CTO explains the rationale between the SEC's appeal. So let's discuss this. What we've seen so far is the SEC and Ripple have been in a lawsuit for years and years, since December 2020, I believe. And then in court a couple of weeks ago, the courts determined that XRP is not a security in favour of Ripple there. And the SEC really didn't like that. Now we can see here that the SEC are looking like they are likely to appeal this decision. So the CTO of Ripple has broken this down for us and explained what this means. So he's suggested that the SEC's decision to seek an appeal stems from their belief that the ongoing legal action has not yet reached a definite resolution. And this perspective enables the involved parties to file an appeal after the overall resolution of the case. By adopting this strategic strategy, the SEC seeks to streamline the legal proceedings and curtail frequent interruptions caused by multiple appeals concerning comparatively minor aspects of the case. So we're looking at the procedure view of the appeal. We're looking at what could really be happening here. If you are an XRP fan and you want more information on this, I'm going to drop the link to that in today's chat once again. But let's take a look at the next article here and see what else is going on. We're still on the topic of Ripple here. So Ripple and ConsenSys joined MasterCard's CBDC partner program. So since XRP and Ripple have won that court case, which isn't the whole lawsuit, it's just one court case, we've seen massive news about their partnerships between Ripple and other CBDC pilots, and we are now seeing they've joined ConsenSys and MasterCard CBDC partner program as well. So more growth there as well. Now, before we continue on today's stream, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. We do these live streams every single weekday. Here we have some more news here. BitGet have increased their KYC requirements following other centralized exchanges. Now, we've seen multiple centralized exchanges over the last couple of years, months, increasing their KYC requirements. We've seen Bybit do something similar. We've seen KuCoin, and now we are seeing BitGet as well. So they will be requiring KYC information for you to use their exchange. Let's see what else is going on for the next article here. We have BAYC floor sinks further, and number 8585 has been sold for 624 ETH at a loss. So the Bored Ape Yacht Club floor price continues to capitulate as holders are being shaken out. So as the markets continue to decline, our NFT floor price is going to continue to decline. This is all speculative assets. I mean, I'm not an NFT fan, so I'm a bit biased on this. If you take a look at the NFT market, I don't really see the hype around it. I would much rather be holding Bitcoin. It's very much more volatile. I don't understand the value of the underlying assets for the majority of the time. And I personally would much rather prefer to hold Bitcoin. But people have made huge gains of NFTs. Right now, I'm personally sticking away from speculative assets because the markets seem so uncertain. Let's continue on to the next article here. So Binance have been dropped by payment processor Checkout.com. Binance has been dealt another blow with another payment processor halting services for the exchange. This has come after the SEC have charged them. We've seen a lot of Binance payment processors saying they don't want to work with them anymore, being very, very cautious around the area. Now, obviously, centralized exchanges are being scrutinized by the SEC in the US right now. And with that, the payment processors don't want to get into trouble as well. So they'd rather distance themselves than put themselves in a risky position. So this is obviously expected there. Let's continue on to the next article here. So we have Bitcoin miners are diversifying ahead of the Bitcoin halving. We do still have that Bitcoin halving at the end of the road. Bitcoin halving is going to be in April 2024. I believe the 26th is when it's supposed to be timed right now. And when that happens, typically in history, it has triggered a bull market. Now, we're saying, let's look at this. We're taking a look at what's going on in the markets right now. And yes, there's a bit of uncertainty right now. And yes, we may see some downwards action. We may see some changes in movement. We still have that Bitcoin halving, and historically, that has just been the reason that we've seen a bull market triggered over and over and over again. So will this time be different? Who knows? But in terms of probability, history's probability is pretty positive. So let's take a look here. The Bitcoin miners are actually diversifying this time. So Bitcoin miners obviously earn Bitcoin from mining blocks and adding blocks onto the blockchain. So as Bitcoin halving approaches, miners are creating novel paths to maintain profitability and manage the rising hurdles posed by escalating competition fueled by the surging hash rate. So JP Morgan's analyst has revealed a compelling trend in their latest analysis. Crypto miners are increasingly venturing into high-performance computing services tailored for the rapidly evolving artificial intelligence landscape. So this is what's going on here. Well, as this happens, they may be trying to get more exposure to the cryptocurrency space. We all know that altcoins can be very much more volatile than the price of Bitcoin through bull markets. And we know that miners have been struggling tremendously during this bear market, as they always do. But are we out the other end? We'll have to wait and see. It's gonna be an interesting one. Let's take a look at this final tweet here today. This is one I wanted to discuss. Before I forget, please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. The story that I want to talk about today is what's happening with CryptoSavingExpert.com, your one-stop crypto shop, the best cryptocurrency website out there. What we are seeing here is a tweet from that Martini guy, and he is telling you all about the major update. Now, I thought I'd pull this tweet up because I don't want to say anything I'm not meant to be saying just yet. In the next week, we are publishing a major update. I can't wait for you all to see it. We've been working so hard on this update. We've got new features, new content, and a new look. So we've been building the entire bear market, preparing all of this information for you guys. We do believe here that we are going to be primed to be the next CoinMarketCap, CoinGecko, Cointelegraph. We give you the latest cryptocurrency news. We give you the latest market data, and we've got loads more coming. I was almost going to say something I shouldn't have said then. We've got loads more coming to the website within the next week. So prepare yourself for this and make sure to go to CryptoSavingExpert.com and press that big blue sign up button at the top. When you put in your information there and tick that box, you get access to our latest newsletters and our latest emails, and you'll get updated when we've got something new coming to the site. So be prepared for that. But let's take a look at the price of Bitcoin now and see what's going on. In the last 4 hours, we have seen a slight move to the upside. I mean, that was the nice 1 minute chart there. If we take a look at the 1 hour chart, the last hour wasn't too bad. We saw a move from 26,000 to 26,120. The only volatility we seem to be getting right now, we had sideways action, then we broke to the downside. Let me get this up in more detail here. 4 hour chart, we had sideways action here, broke to the downside. Sideways action here, broke to the downside. Are we just going to see more sideways action here? Because as I keep saying, I think what's going to happen here, and obviously none of this is financial advice, is we could be killed by sideways action. That is always a possibility. Now, obviously, we are all waiting and sat on the fence here, waiting to hear about Evergrande, waiting to hear about what's happening with the ETFs. We've got some positive news right on the horizon, and we've got some potentially really negative news on the horizon as well. And we're all sat here on the fence waiting to see which one is going to come first. We've had this level of support drawn on the chart here for ages. If you take a look at this, this has been from the start of the year on the 31st of December, then on the 9th March, and then on the 15th of June. And then we break through that just a couple of days ago. And boy, oh boy, do I wish I was listening to that level of support a little bit more when that happened, because when we break through that, we saw a massive, massive move to the downside. In fact, if we'd have traded this breakout, we'd already be up 10%, but I did not do so. So what we're seeing here, obviously, is we have moved to the downside now. We're waiting to see what's happening with the news. I'm personally looking further away from the charts and doing technical analysis on the charts right now, and I'm looking closely at the news to be seeing what's happening. I'm following the Evergrande story closely. I think that's what's going to be affecting the markets the most within the next couple of weeks, and I don't think that anything else will be able to overpower that. I'm keeping an eye on that, researching that as much as possible, trying to understand that as much as possible to prepare myself for what can happen next, because that, I believe, is going to be the big biggest driver for any future prices of Bitcoin. But we can take a look at some quick levels of support. Obviously, we have this one here at 25,150, and that has previously acted as a level of resistance there as well. So technically, I would say that was strong, but if any more negative news comes out about Evergrande, then I'm sure we could possibly see a move to the downside there as well. So we have to be prepared for all instances in this time in the market. Sentiment is uncertain. Nobody knows what's going to happen next. Everything is uncertain, and we just need to prepare ourselves. We can draw levels of support and resistance on the chart as much as we want, but I really think it's crucial right now to be spending time digging into that news to see what's going on. So make sure to head over to cryptosavingexpert.com and go over to our news tab and just keep yourself updated on those stories at all times and prepare yourself for what's happening right now. Try and educate yourself as much as possible. Take a look at our courses as well and prepare yourself for this week when we get some exciting new updates. But that is all we have for today, so thank you very much for watching. As always, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button. Don't forget to head over to Twitter and give us a follow on TikTok, on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all of the social media platforms. Give us a follow and get ready for what's coming this week at cryptosavingexpert.com. And that is all we have for today. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all back here tomorrow. So thank you.